Oh, baby, we're back. Welcome back to another edition of Golf on Tap and On Tap Bets. I am your host, Joey Ricotta, at Joey Knows Nothing on Twitter. Jack is at Jack Bushman 2. I am joined by Jack Bushman, at Jack Bushman 2. Jack, how you doing, my friend? I am so freaking excited for this week.
We usually come on the show and we say we're excited for events. We're hopefully excited to cash a winner, but this one's different, Joey. There is real excitement behind the Waste Management Phoenix Open. I couldn't be more stoked. The Super Bowl's in town the same weekend, the fourth time that's ever happened that they'll be at the same place at the same time. Golf fans are going to be rowdy all weekend long. I wish I could be a part of it. I definitely have to make the trip down to TPC Scottsdale sometime here in the next couple of years, but I'm stoked as I can be really for a non-major here, Joey. Like, the field is absolutely loaded. The fans are always buzzing at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. It's, the best combination in the world of golf. There's really nothing like it. So I'm really excited, man. Excited to see, who's going to come out on top of this absolutely loaded field. It's been mayhem trying to dig through all the research and kind of figure out who I'm going to be leaning towards. I could make a case for basically everyone under like 30, 35 to 1 this week. It's a loaded field. It's a great venue. I couldn't be more stoked for it, dude. The action is not too far away, bro.
Yeah, man, I didn't want to waste any time with getting to you and your thoughts about this because the Waste Management Phoenix Open is always like the most eventful tournament of the year. And this year should be no different. We know how crazy the 16th hole gets. You mentioned the Super Bowl. It's like a 40-minute drive away. I'm assuming, and I already know that there are people doing both this year, which tip of the cap to you if you can do that. That's a big spending weekend. But damn, dude, like I'm trying to come up with like ways I can bet both. And I haven't quite like figured it out. I'm going to bet both, of course. Like there's going to be so much money from my gambling accounts just pending, probably until late Sunday. But I am just thrilled. Like I'm trying to find out ways where I can do the prop bets between both the golf tournament or like an outright and a winner or something for the Super Bowl. And we'll get there. We'll definitely get there. But yeah, man, the frat house invades this weekend, and especially that 16th hole where things are going to definitely be getting. That's why the Waste Management sponsors this thing, right? There's going to be a lot of cleanup that's going to be needed for this event. I just think it's cool that we get both in the same weekend, not even the same weekend, but the same day with this golf tournament and then the Super Bowl between the Eagles and the Chiefs. But man, Jack, before we get going with this week, kind of want to talk about last week just a little bit. Justin Rose took down the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, finished with 18 under. And, I mean, we kind of predicted between 17 and 19 under, but because of all the recent winners like finishing between there. And for a while, it seemed like it wasn't even going to get close to that. I mean, talk about the atmosphere change from Pebble Beach Pro-Am to this week. Like we had a weather delayed, stupid. I just hate that tournament. I don't know what it is. I just cannot stand that tournament. Of course, I had Kurt Kitayama. We talked about it off air, going into that final round, and he like bogey to open up his day 4. So I had really nobody near the top. Jack, what do you think about what happened last week and Justin Rose's victory? How'd your weekend turn out?
Yeah, I didn't have Justin Rose. I wasn't going to bet him at 28 to 1. Courtesy out there for those of you who did. Good to see Justin Rose back in the winner's circle, no doubt about it. It had been over 4 years for him, and he's obviously got such a historic career that it probably impacted him. I'm sure that he had been out of the winner's circle for such a long time, and we see golfers kind of go through those stints, even at the highest level. Jordan Spieth, Rory McIlroy. It's just a reminder that the game of golf truly is crazy. And sometimes, when you think you're on top of the world and everything's going great, it can flip just like that. And for Justin Rose, I'm sure it was such a relief and a weight off of his shoulder to finally, recognize that all his hard work had paid off and that he is still capable of winning an event. So it was really awesome to see Justin Rose emerge victorious, even though I didn't have money on them. But other than that, Joey, Pebble Beach, this event, it was a clown show. I mean, an absolute clown show from start to finish. I don't even know where to begin. First off, I was hearing on Sirius XM radio that Aaron Rodgers didn't have the correct handicap. He won the Pro-Am with Ben Silverman, his partner. I heard he wasn't even using the correct handicap.
Wow.
We had the tournament.
Go figure.
We had the tournament. Funny. Tournament was canceled on Saturday due to wind. What are okay, I get it that it was 35, 40 miles an hour and right there on the coast. It's like impossible.
They play through the wind all the time, though. I mean, come on. Like, what are we doing?
That's exactly what I'm saying. I couldn't believe that not only did they stop it for the day because of wind, but they pushed the whole Saturday round into Sunday. They stopped it for the rest of the day because of the wind. It was ludicrous. The rounds were taking forever as expected. I'd go and try to check my PGA Tour app and see how my guys are doing. 40 minutes, Victor Hovland's hit one shot. It was terrible, and it's really a shame that they waste an event like this on Pebble Beach, one of the most historic courses in the entire world. It's frustrating that, it's just a long event. Sure, we get to see some cool shots from Aaron Rodgers and McElroy and yada, yada, yada. It's fun for a little bit, but when the rounds drag on that long, none of the top players want to go because it is a Pro-Am, and also it's squeezed into a lot of major events on the schedule. It's really just turned into kind of a joke, and it's sad, Joey. So it was a tough weekend to watch for sure. I thought it was a good finish to see Justin Rose come out on top, and there was some action late. Denny McCarthy was making a late run. Peter Malnati was there. It was interesting, but god damn, did it take forever. By the end of it, I was just like, can we just get on to the waste management and Riviera for these next couple of weeks? Because after Pebble Beach, golf season is in full swing, and what a way to start it off this week. But yeah, Pebble Beach, it's a shame what that event has really turned into, in my opinion, at least.
That was a long-winded way of saying it absolutely sucked in our book. But I mean, you weren't impressed by like the Jason Bateman show. I mean, like, come on, like
he was cringy. He was cringy. Jason Bateman's funny, and I like Jason Bateman, but
yeah, nothing against him. I'm not saying anything bad, but I mean, I guess I am saying something bad. But like,
a little weird. It was a little weird. That's all I'm gonna say.
It's a little odd. I don't know, man. It's just whatever. Yeah, well, I'm glad we can wipe that clean. We're on to this week. Yeah, we're on to this week. We were just waiting to get through that week, and totally makes sense, dude. Like why a lot of people don't want to go there with the shit show that it turned out to be. And then you have this event right after it. Like, thank you, golf gods, or just the PGA Tour, for setting it up this way where, okay, you hit us with that little turd, and then you come back with basically like a Super Bowl worthy event the day of the Super Bowl. So TPC Scottsdale, man, I mean, the course renovated back in 2014. Most famous for its par 3, 16th hole. We kind of mentioned that already. That, it's during the tournaments, it provides fans like some of the most exciting settings in professional sports, really, just in general. It's a spot where you go, and even watching it on TV, and I want to be there one day. We talked about that, going there someday, hopefully. Dude, it's awesome to see. Like, I don't know. I feel like I can think of certain golfers here that I want to bet on that are just like hype machines and just live up to this moment. But at the same time, we have seen golfers that are kind of more relaxed and just go about their craft. The Kyle Hendricks type of, players, if you will, if you're like translating that to baseball, very chill, just all about your business, who, by the way, is a very good golfer. We had Justin Steele on the Cubs on Tap podcast last night. If you didn't watch that or listen to that and you're a Cubs fan, go back and watch and listen to that after this. Because I think Steele will be there actually at this tournament, but big golf fan, big football fan as well. But yeah, man, I just think I don't really know how I wanted to build this card, and I want to hear your take on the course and kind of some of the history we've seen here. But I'm interested to hear what you have to say, because this board, like, we are jam packed with elite golfers this weekend.
Yeah, it's an absolute loaded field, and it makes it really difficult when it's this loaded to find out exactly who you want to go with or what player type, because there are different player types that you feel all these guys are capable of winning big events like this, and they obviously all don't play the same way. So yeah, it did make things a little tricky, but kind of my breakdown of TPC Scottsdale, 7,261 yards, par 71. Finally, Joey, we're back to just one course this week. Done with the course rotations. I'm so happy. I couldn't be more thrilled. I believe that was the last course rotation for the rest of the season.
Thank God.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. It makes things a lot simpler when we try to kind of look at the player architecture that we want to break down, or the player profiles that we want to target. 7,261 yard par 71, typical par 71 layout, 11 par fours, 3 par fives, 4 par threes. It's not a very long course, being only 7,200 yards, but there are a lot of spots where you can find danger. And looking at kind of some of the recent results, Joey, the winner of this tournament hasn't hit 20 under since Phil Mickelson did it way back in 2013. So while we do see, usually good fields here and a lot of good players, guys never necessarily light up TPC Scottsdale. And that's because there are ways to find danger here. I think roughly 9% of tee shots find a way out of bounds. There's desert areas. There's a ton of bunkers, a lot of deep ones too, in front of greens, right in front of courses. And then on the back nine, this is where it really gets tricky and can kind of make or break around, because there's a ton of risk reward type of shots. Like going into a par five, I believe it's number 17. If you clear it over the water, you're going to be able to reach the green in two. But obviously, if you're short, that's going to be a penalty stroke. There is a lot of well-placed water hazards on this course by the architects to kind of shape it up for that style risk reward type. So you can see players go and shoot a 62 or a 63 to get themselves back in contention. That is possible on this course, but you can also see guys shoot a big number. And that's why, I think somewhere in between and finding the consistency throughout 4 rounds is really how you usually go about winning this thing. So I just thought that was really kind of interesting to see that, guys never really light this place up. There's a lot of places where you can find danger, particularly off the tee and with your second shots. The par four is kind of breaking down the holes here. Most of the par fours, Joey, this week are going to be played somewhere between 400 and 470 yards. That's kind of the basis for the par fours this week. So thought about targeting guys from that type of range, putting that into some of my data, guys who usually can do well on some of those holes, in particular, the more difficult holes that are on the longer side of this course. The only par four that isn't in that 400 to 475 yard bracket is a drivable par four, also on the back nine. So again, risk reward type of shot there. The par fives are very scoreable here, though, and that's really gone a long way to helping winners. Scoring well and taking advantage of these par fives has really been a key factor for guys to go on to win this tournament. So I think you got to be able to take care of the par fives. You're going to make bogeys here. It's going to happen on the par fours, but you also need to find ways to score as well. And then I think another little interesting tidbit that I found when doing some research, tee to green game is really going to be the predominant factor here. You got to be good with the driver, got to obviously be good with approach. And while putting, it's kind of complicated here because these are some of the easiest greens to putt on in the entire PGA Tour schedule. But at the same time, we've seen just last year, Scotty Scheffler, or excuse me, not last year with Scotty Scheffler, Brooks Koepka a couple of years ago was second in the field in strokes gained putting. Ricky Fowler in 2019, when he got his win here, first in the field in strokes gained putting. So if you can get hot with the flat stick, that can really help put you over the edge. I just think it's kind of a tough thing to gauge, like who is going to putt well here, because these are easier greens and they have been more that they've allowed for bad putters to putt well here historically. So while putting has been crucial, it doesn't mean that good putters are the only ones that do well here. So just kind of an interesting tidbit. All in all, though, Joey, I think you're going to have a good all-around game. You're going to get tested in different spots throughout your round. Sometimes you're going to have to get up and down to try to avoid a bogey. Sometimes, it's going to favor the approach players who can stick it closest to the pin from 160, 170 yards. I'm looking at an all-in-all player type. I think that's what it's going to take in a field like this as well. But yeah, that's kind of my little breakdown there on TPC Scottsdale ahead of this week.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff there, man. A lot of good stuff. I feel like we might be a little bit different this week with how we built our card, not from a sense of like what stats we looked at, but just from a sense of like I didn't completely go like good at everything type. And I wanted to. I think I have one golfer in particular that I can think of that I bet that is good all around, especially right now. But man, you think good all around, and the two names that come to mind at this moment in time, how can they not be Rory McIlroy or Jon Rahm? Like those two names winning everything lately, like it's no question. Like I just cannot. I'm looking at these odds here: 7-1 Jon Rahm, 8.5-1 Rory McIlroy. Like, what are we doing at the very top? Before I go any further than that, like, can we bet one of these two guys, or is it just a complete avoid at this point due to price?
It's a very tough and good question because 700 to 800 in this field doesn't feel great, but when you consider the heater that both of these two guys are on, it is understandable. They've combined to win 7 times in their last 14 starts. Rory McIlroy with a big win over in Dubai recently. Jon Rahm obviously has been doing some incredible work on the PGA Tour here to kick off 2023. I'm probably going to end up passing on them. I know I'm going to end up passing on them. Am I scared? Absolutely, because both of these guys are capable to go off in a hurry and can run away with it. I'm just going to act like they're not here. Listen, if this was a major and we kind of had some more background and some more data, I think maybe I'd be inclined to take one of these two guys, but it's still so early in the year. And yes, obviously they are winning tournaments. That looks good, but it's still so early in the year where things can kind of change in a hurry. And look, go back to this time last year, Joey. Scotty Scheffler hadn't won a PGA Tour event yet.
Look where he's priced now.
Exactly. Another guy who's up here, Tony Finau. How about that? Tony Finau, 3 wins since last July. Golf can change in a hurry. So, well, these guys are the clear-cut favorites coming in. I think everyone would agree, and they're rightfully up there for a reason. I still would feel, I think, a little bit more comfortable having a bigger body of work and not having kind of the layoff and the holidays, just being in the past. I don't know. That's just the way that I'm looking at it. And maybe it's the way that I'm telling myself and convincing myself to get off of them. I love both these players. And I think, Jon Rahm can win this tournament 1 out of every 7 times. And Rory can do that 1 out of every 8.5 times or whatever it may be. I'm just not going to get there this week. There's so many other guys that I want to get to at better numbers. They probably don't have as good of a chance as Rahm and McIlroy, given what they've been doing lately. But yeah, I'm just going to kind of act like they're not here this week, Joey.
I'm doing the same thing, and I don't feel great about it. And, you kind of look at the percentage, like, win predictor models, right? Like, what percentage chance does this golfer have to win the tournament? And I'm looking, and I see these guys in like the 10% to 12% range, and 10 to 12%, that's an extremely high percent for a golfer, right? But like, all right, let's factor that in now. 12% to plus 700. Like, to me, it doesn't quite add up to what their odds should be. Like, I'm looking at that, and to me, I feel like Jon Rahm should be maybe 12-1, or Rory should be, 13-1 or something like that. And so I just can't quite get there. If they were in double digits, and it's not to say that they're ever going to be the rest of the year, right? Like any tournament that they're in, they're probably going to have some horrible odds that we really don't want to bet. And if you really feel strongly about them winning the tournament, you should probably bet them and just forget the rest of the card. So I'm not going to tell anybody not to do it, just strongly advising it not advising it, I should say, or advising against doing it because, like you said, this is a random game and there's not too much information yet on the rest of the field. It's not even so much them because we've seen what they've been doing lately, but we don't have enough data on the rest of the field quite yet to really make a determination to feel that good about it. So, looking at the rest of this top of the board now, after those two are out of the way, because I feel like those are the two you just kind of have to get out of the way first. Just speaking like it's a major because it's an elevated event this week. Scotty Scheffler, 13-1. Xander X Schauffele, 14-1. Colin Morikawa, 16-1. Tony Finau, you just mentioned him, 18-1. I'm seeing him at. I actually saw him at 20-1 before you hopped on here. So some varying odds here on the board. But Jack, I'm guessing you're in on one, maybe two of these guys. What do you think of the rest of this top of the board here?
You know me so well after doing a lot of these shows together. I absolutely am going to be active here at the top of the board. I referenced on the show last week, I've never hit a golf winner bigger than 40-1. It's kind of unfortunate. I'd love to hit one of those long shots. Fortunately, I've hit enough in the short range where I can keep doing this. But yeah, it's a weird time because a lot of guys at the top of the board have been winning. Good players are winning golf tournaments here in the last year. It's really been the storyline. Justin Rose last week, 28-1. It all has me really attracted to the top of the board. So I'm definitely going to have some action here. It's tough to figure out who I want to go with, though. I do, before we get into some of the other guys, I'm guessing you're not getting to Scotty Scheffler. Do you have any interest in Scotty Scheffler?
I do.
He's such an interesting case.
I absolutely do this week. Go ahead, go ahead.
You're not going to bet him, though?
I'm not betting him, but I really, really considered it. Yeah.
I'm not going to bet him either, but I'm really scared about it. Maybe more scared than Rahm or Rory because Scotty Scheffler, tee to green, it's never stopped. It has never stopped, even though the winning has, obviously plateaued since he went on that heater last summer. He's still ridiculous tee to green. The problem has been the putter. And as I mentioned, when kind of breaking down this course, these are some of the easier greens to putt on. And it feels like this would be a very good place for Scotty Scheffler to bounce back and get it going. Because if he has the flat stick rolling, I don't know if there's anyone better.
I don't know either. Like that's the conundrum that we are in this week. And I hate to keep repeating that of we don't know what we're going to do. But it's kind of feels that way when you're given the type of golfers we have. And Scotty, yeah, he won it last year, right? Yep. You mentioned that stat with Phil Mickelson, guys not getting to 20 under. I think he was the guy that did it though, right? Wasn't he 22 last year or was
No, he was 19, I believe.
Was he 19 last year? Okay. Maybe he was. Either way, man, I know back to back is something that we don't like. It's tough to go back to back in an event. But is it really that tough when he hasn't been golfing that well recently? It's not like he doesn't need this. I'm pretty sure he feels like he needs this. And it's not like he's going to come in there and he feels good on this course. You mentioned the tee to green aspect of it. I don't know, man. I am definitely scared of some Scotty Scheffler this week. I don't even know what his top 10 would be, but I feel pretty good about that this week, I think. And maybe the odds aren't that great there, but I really do feel good about Scheffler. Who was another guy? Was there another one in this range that you I'm sure that you're thinking about here?
Yeah, I didn't mean to get us sidetracked on that. I just
think
it's a really interesting case. 2 bets already made in this range. I nabbed Colin Morikawa when he was at 20-1. He opened at 28. I passed on it the first day because I wanted to do some more research, but the way that he was jumping down, the biggest is 16-1 now. I grabbed him at 20-1. Listen, I know that he obviously gagged it away on the back 9 at the Century Tournament of Champions, and he also kind of had a similar situation go down at the Hero World Challenge at the end of 2022. But it shouldn't be brushed to the side what Colin Morikawa is doing to get in those situations. And his irons have been insane. They've returned to peak level Morikawa, what we were seeing early on in his career when he, nabbed 2 majors in the blink of an eye. He's returned to that type of iron play. And even at the Farmers Insurance Open, his last start where he finished 3rd, he was incredible there and really surged hard on Sunday. It was one of his best iron weeks in literally over a year, I believe. So he's obviously heading in the right direction. I know closing out tournaments has been a problem, but don't discount all the good work that he's done to get there. And, an elite ball striker in this field, as good as it gets there. I mean, he's still hitting, the greens as good as anyone, leads the field this week in greens and regulation, gained over his past 24 rounds, right up there in the approach numbers. Those are always going to be steady. He's remarkably accurate with the tee. And Joey, he's gained on the greens quietly in back-to-back weeks. First time he's done that since June. If you get Collin Morikawa putting good, I don't understand how you can't have action on him. So I had to get Morikawa in. I knew that line was going to drop even more.
But
what do you got for me?
Can he chip though?
That's the $1 million question. But the problem with that theory is he's so fucking good with his irons that he
might not need to.
He's got to chip twice around. So I don't know. I definitely have the chip worries. I mean, that's literally the worry with Morikawa. Is the short game going to follow? I think if he's putting this well, I have no reason not to take him. So I'm back in on Collin Morikawa here. I'm also in on Tony Finau, 20-1. Listen, I know Finau doesn't have the best track record at TPC Scottsdale. He's only made 2 cuts and 7 appearances here. He's at a different level right now than he's ever been in his entire career. His last 11 PGA Tour starts, Joey, 3 wins, 5 top 10s. He's been unworldly from tee to green. He's also gained on the greens in 8 of his past 9 measured starts. He's got the full game rolling. He's got the confidence that he can do it now. And he's also not that far away from where he lives in Phoenix. And I think Tony's a guy who, now that he's got this winning, stuff under his belt, I think he's really on the hunt to go and win some big ones to add that to his legacy. It's the way that I'm at least shaping it up in my mind. I just think Tony's at a different level right now than he's ever been. The game is so good right now. He's striping his irons. He's accurate, gaining strokes off the tee with the driver. So I started my card with Collin Morikawa and Tony Finau. Those were the first 2 guys. I got to say, though, Xander Schauffele is intriguing as well. I probably can't bet 3 guys sub 20-1, but Xander has a really good track record in Phoenix as well. It feels like these are also the type of events that he thrives into, like good field, maybe not necessarily a major, but still proving he's one of the best in the world. I didn't like passing up Xander. He was another guy I really liked. So yeah, that's what I got. Sub 20-1, some action, or I guess 2 guys at 20-1, but a lot of action at the top per usual from your boy.
You know what? I'm starting to hate you going first. It's going to look like I'm copying you this week. And I promise, me and Jack did not discuss this before who we were on, at least to the top of the – I mentioned like one name way, way down. But that's exactly what I wound up with, man.
Wow.
It's Morikawa and Finau. And so for Morikawa, just like you, I was a little bit upset because I did see those odds jump up there. And I thought about it really hard. And I didn't do it, but I'm like, because I really, just like you, I wanted to put the research in. I don't want to just go out there and throw something at it just because it looks good. And it did. And turned out, yeah, this number was going to come way down. And now it's, 16-1. I did get a little boost. DraftKings had the boost free promotion here. Sorry, they're not our sponsor. We'll mention them in a second. But they had a little plus 250 boost, so I cranked it up to 18.5-1. So I'm hoping it makes me feel a little bit better, at least getting that number up a little bit. But yeah, man, the chipping might not matter this week. I mean, the ball striking will be key. We know that. Gained 6.7 strokes on approach at Torrey Pines. He pops as the best course fit here guy on datagolf.com. So if he's the best course fit guy here with this field, I mean, that doesn't always say everything. Most of the time it doesn't say anything at all because any random things can happen. But I really do like the way Morikawa has been with the iron play. So I'm in on him. Finau, that was kind of the one guy I felt like in this field, or one of the guys that I'm betting on that I feel like is that well-rounded, all-around golf guy, because he doesn't do anything poorly at the moment. It doesn't feel like second in strokes gained total this season, but I mean he's significantly more rounds logged than Tommy Fleetwood, so who's above him. Top 10 in strokes gained approach. I mean, he missed a lot of cuts here at TPC Scottsdale or at this event, but I mean, he did have the runner-up in 2019, 2020. So,
lost in a playoff to Brooks.
Yeah, and he feels like he's really over that, right? Like the close losses, the just can't pull it out. Like it's finish him Finau now. Like that's what it feels like. So I think he knows what to do. I'm buying what you're selling with the feels like a different player all of a sudden now that he's racked up these victories. So Finau and Morikawa, man, we're riding this week. I like it.
Let's get it.
After that, we'll get into like the 20-1 range. 21-1. We have Patrick Cantlay, JT Justin Thomas 22-1, Max Homa recent victory 25-1, Sungjae Im 25-1, Cam Young is 28-1, and then Tom Kim 28-1. This is his first appearance here, I believe. So interesting stuff here with the rest of this like the 20 anything below 30-1. That's kind of like seems to be your approach anyways coming up here because of recent history, you winning your outrights. Anyone kind of in this range between 20-1 and 30-1?
Yeah, there's one more spot that I'm looking to add, I think, on my betting board. I'm thinking it's between three guys. I'm looking at Sungjae, Cam Young, and Tom Kim.
You think Sungjae can pull it out? Do you actually pull it out? I know he's got the talent, but I'm kind of feeling like how you were. You talked to me. I remember we were talking about this on a recent episode, and I bet on him. And not to sidetrack the conversation, but I'm starting to get that feeling. Like I don't know if he can pull it out. Like I don't know if he's ready yet. What do you think about him?
Yeah, it is a little frustrating with Sungjae because he will give you high-end finishes, but rarely wins. It's tough. I think we've seen some encouraging things out of him as of late. I was on him earlier on in the year. He's got a decent history at TPC Scottsdale. Has never really contended, but he's made cuts before. I believe he finished 7th. One thing that kind of stands out to me about Sungjae is where his win occurred, which was at TPC Summerlin, which is another deserty par 71 that's kind of similar to this at elevation where it's short and ball strikers can kind of reign supreme, and Sungjae, an all-around game type of guy. I think, that was one thing that kind of had me leaning towards Sungjae. I don't know if I'm going to get there ultimately. But yeah, those were a couple of things that had me intrigued by him at this number. At the same time, Patrick Cantlay is another guy who's torched it at TPC Summerlin before. Obviously, came runner-up here, lost in the playoff to Scottie Scheffler last year. So maybe if you're looking at that angle, maybe you want to bet on Patrick Cantlay. But I am intrigued by Cameron Young. Had a runner-up finish once again. Runner-up Cam Young should probably be his nickname. Last week at the Saudi International. It just feels like a course where he's such a good driver where he can just let it absolutely go. I keep having this difficulty, Joey, where I prefer drivers on long courses where their drivers can kind of reign supreme. And then Keith Mitchell last week on a short Pebble Beach course goes and uses his driver to his advantage and tears it up. So it's like, maybe I want Cam Young on a 7,200 course. It just feels like Cam Young is almost like this year's Scottie Scheffler from last year. Like we're just waiting for this kid to break through. We know that he has the game. And if it really does feel like if Cam Young wins once, he certainly has the talent to go and rattle off a couple. So maybe that's just the narrative talking in my head, but Cam Young has intrigued me at 28-1. And kind of another narrative guy, of course, my boy Tom Kim. You mentioned maybe backing just some electric factories this week, and doesn't get any more electric than Tom Kim. I feel like if he birdies the 16th hole, I don't know what he's going to do. He might go for a Lambo leap in the grandstand.
Dude, I literally wrote in my notes how awesome and electric would it be if Tom Kim's playing meaningful golf on day 4 and with that 16th hole?
Right. Like, it feels like this would be a venue where Tom Kim would just thrive off the crowd and absolutely kill it. We know he's so clean tee to green. It's just kind of whether or not he's going to be able to putt. And when he does putt, it's usually a high-end finish. So definitely some intrigue there for me in Tom Kim. I haven't pulled the trigger on anyone in this range yet, but I do think I want to add one more to my card from around here.
I'm in the same boat right now. That's the guy I'm intrigued by was Tom Kim. I understand it completely. I mean, this is a guy that I generally like betting on, and I could see him pulling out some like a top 5 here, or even winning it. Like, it's not like I can't see him winning it, especially with the odds being where they are in his favor. I just don't know if I can do it this week when he's surrounded by guys that I just have more faith in at this point. That's just kind of what it feels like. But Tom Kim, second best course fit, according to Data Golf. Second to Colin Morikawa. I mean, talk about the electricity factor. Maybe I'm just buying the hype. Maybe I want to be part of that electricity. If he's winning, you're going to feel good if you have a bet on him, right? So
100p.
fourth in strokes gained approach, third in driving accuracy this year, does just about everything well. He's kind of feels like another one of those guys. You talked about Cam Young with, once he rattles one off. Not that Kim – I mean, if Kim gets one of these big ones, though, which this feels like a big one, yeah, look out. I think he could be one of those guys that goes on a roll like a Scheffler does. So very much considering it there. As far as anything above 30-1 here. Now this is where we get like, do we want to do it or not type of situation? Because I'm almost like thinking about avoiding this entire, and I guess like down to 60-1, there's still a lot of very intriguing names, really all the way down the card. You go to like 150-1, there's a lot of intriguing names down there too, but you just don't see them really pulling it out like in this type of tournament. But it's a little bit more like, okay, I can take the risk there depending on how much money I'm putting down or like percentage of a unit I'm going to put down on it. I don't know, man. Like, Hideki is the one name that sticks out, 35-1. That's a guy that I've already bet. His history here, like, this is a course history type of course. Runner up in 2015, won it back-to-back years, 2016, 2017, 8th place finish last year. Signs of life. We got the T9 at the Farmers a couple weeks ago. The Decky course. Are we going to call this the Decky course? I can buy in at this price. What do you think, Jack?
Yeah, I actually already got in on Hideki. I think he opened at 45-1. I grabbed him at 40. Just too big of a number for Hideki here. I mean, I know it's been some time since he's had those back-to-back wins in the second place finish there, but he was kind of around in contention last year. You just mentioned that he had a really good showing at the Farmers, went T9. He was kind of in contention. He started off his Sunday round absolutely on fire, had to take some risks down the stretch, which is what led to him falling down the leaderboard. He was really like right there at the top until those final couple of holes. So a good showing from Hideki his last time out. He gained strokes in all 4 categories across the board, which I think you can take as a sign that he's heading in the right direction. So I just think that was too big of a number for Hideki. And he's kind of a guy where it feels like it doesn't even really matter what kind of form he's going in. Hideki can kind of just pop
He's
it
random
times. And if it were to happen at any place, it feels like it would be here given his track record. So yeah, I did hop on Hideki at 40-1, but after that, it's going to be really thin for me, bro. Even though there are a lot of good names in here. I mean, Victor Hovland, guy who I was on last week at Pebble Beach, kind of feel like it's tough for me not to go back to him again when he was just a good Sunday away from really being right there. But there's just a lot of guys I like higher. So it's just kind of what it is.
Yeah, I mean, and we can go down the list and kind of look at some of these names specifically.
What do you got? Any interest in, not to skip Matt Fitzpatrick because he's the only guy 40-1. I don't think we're going to have numbers there, but from 50 to 100, who are the names that intrigue you?
I mean, who do you think?
Oh, you're such a fucking loser. Like literally.
He's golfing well, dude. He is. No, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I love busting your balls. So I mean, that's a good number though. I actually saw him earlier in the week at 75-1, Jason Day, I think. And I was like, ooh, 75.
You want
But
to
like
good numbers though. Sam Burns 50-1 is just a fantastic number.
it is, and I mean Speed 50-1. Speed's form is just like, dude, I can't. He could be a random guy too, but I feel like he's more so has to get in a good form type. And this is kind of where wasn't he? What did he finish last year here? He was. I forget what he did here last year, but
this is where Jordan Spieth came back to life.
Yeah, this was the course, right? Yeah.
This is where he came back to life. I think he shot like a 61 on Saturday or Sunday or something. Oh, no, not last year. That was the year prior. I'm thinking of 2 years ago. Not this last year. That was the year prior where Spieth shot like a 61 or something on Saturday or Sunday. And was like, okay, Jordan Spieth kind of back. He doesn't have like great course history here, but it's also not terrible either. Like when he was vintage Spieth from like 2014 to 2017, 18, he had good finishes here.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see him, pulling this thing out, obviously. I don't know. That price is nice. Like the price is right. Bob Barker. Or the price is wrong, bitch. I honestly think I just am not going to do it just because he scares me in that sense of like, I don't know. I want to see him rolling before I bet on him type of thing. But yeah, I could definitely see myself or somebody doing it because of the price. Looking the rest of this, Montgomery's just an extremely good putter, but I don't know if that's going to be the end all here. Like, it's not going to be the end all here. I don't know what else he's going to be able to do to really truly contend. Like I could see him finishing top 20 or something. Winning it, I don't know. Has he even played here? He hasn't even played here, so.
Yeah, and his the thing for me about Montgomery is his irons have not been all that great. And in a field now where he's going to be surrounded by the best iron players in the world, I think he can putt enough to hang himself in contention. I'm just not going to bet him in this field.
All right, let's get to another interesting name then too. Another guy that's been golfing pretty well lately. He's got a victory here. What do you think about Mr. Ricky Fowler?
I'm not going to do it, but I would understand it. It feels like if there's a place, if there's a time, Ricky's been playing decently well here recently. I'm not going to do it. Certainly not at 70. He's got the same odds as Shane Lowry. I mean, that's disrespectful.
Well, Lowry was like awful last week, wasn't he? I heard he was.
He was bad, but still, I mean, come on. This is a guy who's won the Open. Like, come on. Shane Lowry 70-1 is the same as Ricky. He's got the same odds as Keith Mitchell. What are we talking about here? I'm not going to get to Ricky. Listen, if you have the cojones to back Ricky, and I'd love to cheer for Ricky. Don't get me wrong. It would be a great win for him. I'm just not going to get there. That's the way that I feel about it. There's literally one other guy in this pocket who I have interest in.
Does he have long locks?
No, but it would be sick if he did.
I could see him having a good tournament this week. I don't think he's going to win it, but
Tommy?
Yeah, I could see him having a good tournament. I might bet him in like some capacity. I don't know what that is.
You sound like everyone who's bet on Tommy Fleetwood in America the past 10 years. It doesn't happen.
It just doesn't happen. He just doesn't win, right? I mean, it's the Tony Finau thing, but except Finau actually has like those elite, like more complete outings, and it feels like he really should win those tournaments. That he's up there, and Fleetwood's just kind of like hovering around. I don't know what he's doing. Yeah, man, I don't know. Who's that other guy you're talking about? It's not the Weasel. It's not the little Weasel.
I got 3 names left. It's definitely not the little Weasel. KH Lee 100-1 is going to get bet by me. What's the name? What's the name of this course, Joey?
TPC Lee.
Bingo. I'm betting KH Lee 100-1. He actually has been pretty good recently, and I think this is a fair number for KH Lee. I actually do. Like, I really think 100-1 is a fair number for him. So I'm going to get on KH Lee 100%. 2 other names I have interest in. definitely not going to be able to get to them both. I think I'm going to get to one possibly. One is Billy Horschel, 110 to 1.
All right, explain that one to me. I need help understanding that one.
There's not a lot of logic behind it. It's kind of the Hideki. It's kind of the Hideki. Billy Horschel really hasn't contended here ever. He came, I think, T6 last year and was kind of around. But he's also made the cut here 8 times in a row. And that tells me that Billy Horschel is comfortable on this course, even though he's never been at the top of the top. He knows how to get around. And I think the thing for me about Billy that kind of drew me towards him is, one, he wins big events. He actually does. When Billy wins, they're big wins. I mean, he's won the Memorial, the Zurich Classic. He won the BMW Championship, the Tour Championship. This dude has big wins. So, and also along with that, he's really hasn't even had like the best form going into those wins. I know he's kind of dealt with some issues to start off the year in Hawaii. I just think 110 to 1 is kind of too big of a number for Billy Horschel, a guy who legitimately has winning upside down in this range. So that was kind of the guy I think plus 100 to 1 that I'm going to go with. The other one I think is a little intriguing is Brendan Steele. Although he's kind of like Brendan Todd for me. I never seem to get him right. But this feels like a course where Steele could actually hang around. But that's all I got from literally.
You're giving me a headache with the Brendan Steele thing. I cannot. I'm sorry.
Those are the last names I got, though.
I understand it. I actually thought you were going to say Siwoo Kim.
It's tempting.
I know you like a little Siwoo Kim once in a while, but he's actually. I mean, you talk about like all-around game right now. It's kind of got it. I mean, he's 12th in approach. The putting, like that's pretty hit or miss. But like
ever since he got that long putter, he's been good.
Yeah, he's gotten better, I think. And I mean, that's a big number right there. What is he? 110 to 1 right now? Let me look at that.
He's 100 to 1.
100 to 1? Yeah, I mean. I'd consider it. I absolutely would consider it. The other guy in that range, let's see, not quite that range, but yeah. See, Billy, you made a pretty good argument for Billy Ho, though. I gotta say, gotta give you some props on that. I definitely understand because he does win these big tournaments. Seamus Power, did we talk Power?
I was on him last week. It all went well until he 3-putted from like 5 feet, and then he was non-existent anymore.
Pretty big tournament for him to win too. Not that he can't, but
for him by water, I think.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. Hoagie buns, I can't do it this week.
I like Poston. I like Poston more than Hoagie.
Okay, really? All right. Explain Poston, because I don't hate him this week. I just don't know what to do.
Yeah, Poston, I mean, I don't like absolutely love him. I just think he's a guy who's gotten off to a quietly decent start in 2023. Now, like high-end finishes, but consistently making the cut, consistently being inside the top 30. Been good tee to green. I feel like it was his stretch. I feel like this isn't his stretch anymore.
He would kind of faded out of the Hoagie dominance, well, whatever you want to call it. But he was doing really well, especially with the irons. And the wedges. You'd always talk about the wedges with him. So he's just, I don't know. I don't know what to do here. I will say there's a couple interesting guys from 130 to 1 to where's Joel Damon at? I'm not going to do it, dude. I don't think. But like I could see myself like that's another like Tom Kim type of bet where I didn't really see him at like a 150 to 1 range for Joel Damon. Did you see that? Like him coming into this type of turn. I know it's a big of like star-studded event, but I kind of thought the way that he was golfing prior to like last week and stuff, I didn't think he'd be a 150 to 1 here. I really did. I thought he'd kind of be inside 100, and that's the only reason I'm kind of making this argument, I guess, for Damon and the bucket hat.
I mean, he was playing really well late in the fall before he actually had his kid. I I don't know. I can't see Joel Damon winning this. I can't. I just fucking can't.
Dude, I could see that crowd just completely like
There's no
rallying behind him, but not.
It's like saying Joel Damon's gonna win like the PGA Championship.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I never really was in on him until like recently too. So
I'm not there.
I don't think I'm there. Maverick McNeely, 130-1. Now, strokes gained putting on firm and fast greens. I mean, he's one of the best overall putters, period, in this field and just on tour. Withdrew from Pebble Beach, but outside of that, I mean, he's been up there just about every event. 5 top 25s this season, no worse than T31 other than the withdraw. Would be his first PGA Tour win. He's first in total putting, above average distance, although he's losing strokes off the tee overall. Accuracy issue, really. I mean, this might be a spot where the accuracy doesn't really matter as much here if you can just hit it pretty deep. So I don't know, man. McNeely, what do you think? Can he make enough big putts?
No.
All right. Shot that down quick.
If I'm not on Maverick McNeely is like Mr. Pebble Beach, Mr. Small Greens. If I wasn't on him there last week and he wasn't really all that good until he withdrew, he was okay, I guess. Yeah, no, I'm not a Maverick McNeely better.
I'm not either normally. I just look at that number and I'm like, maybe that's just it. I just have issues when I see these huge numbers. That's the problem here, Jack. I think we're finding the root of my problems. Taylor Pendrith, though, 130-1. Another one that I love betting normally. One of the better, like you talked about the par 5 scoring, and that's a spot where you can really take advantage. You should take advantage of. I mean, this dude is one of the better par 5 scorers there is really this season, and birdie or better par 5, birdie or better rate. I mean, 24th in strokes gained off the tee, 12th in that department last season. He could crank it, man. Like, I could see him shooting up to the top and surprising some people. And I know that it would be a major shock if he won this type of event, but I absolutely don't mind it at 130-1. I really don't. I am sprinkling a little on Taylor Pendrith.
He is a bomber. I don't know if he can do the rest, but he is a bomber.
We gonna learn. We gonna find out.
True.
Jack, you got any props this week?
I got
so far.
Actually, I got no props. I don't know if I'm gonna get there. There's the Super Bowl this weekend. I don't need to have 87 million things in my bet slip. It feels like it would be a fun week to get involved in props, though. If I'm being honest, I just don't think I'm getting there. You got anything this week? Nothing
yet, but I can guarantee you I will have 180 million bets in my bet slips. So I'm going to at some point. And tonight I'll probably like end up tweeting those out or something. I just haven't really had a chance to really focus in on what bets I want to prop wise. So I don't have anything yet. I will say though, like a Maverick McNeely, high floor type of guy, kind of like a top 40 for Maverick. I'm pretty sure it's plus money. I would look at a Mav McNeely top 40 for sure. Jack, we need to do one and done.
We do. Oh, and you burned Matthew Fitzpatrick on a bad week. You burned Matthew Fitzpatrick, and he in return burned you.
I can't stand this, dude. I have the worst luck of burning these, like the high-end golfers on events where they just play terrible. I don't know what it is. You think you're safe, and you're never safe. And this season, you were going to smoke me with one and done this year. And that's fine. It's a learning curve, I guess, for me. But you get to pick, Jack. Who you got?
We got a long ways to go. We got a long ways to go. I really haven't used many big dogs this year. My big dogs, I guess, if you will, that I've used, or bigger dogs, I've used Hideki already. I've used Tyrrell Atten, who I'm not too worried about burning. And then I've used Siwoo and Brian Harmon and Seamus Power. I wouldn't even consider them big dogs. You've burned JT, Fitzpatrick, and Sung Jae already. So who do I want to go with this week?
Those are guys that I'm not really in on this week, though. So not to justify it by any means, but
Not the end of the world. Whew, this is a good question. All right, I'm gonna go with Tony Finau.
ooh, this is an event to use a big dog.
Oh yeah, it is. I'm going Tony Finau.
Yeah, I like that call. Obviously, we are both betting him in the outright market, so I do love that call. You know what? Do I do it again? Burn a big dog? You have to at this event.
Kind of feels like you have to here.
Yeah, you kind of have to. Oh, should I go risky or should I go safe? And neither one are really feeling that safe now that you took Tony. I'm going to go somewhat risky, but he's got a high floor here, particularly. Let's go with the name, the course. It should be named after him at this point, in my opinion. Let's go with Decky. The Decky course.
Yeah, you have not used a Decky. All right.
I almost went with Jason Day just to piss you off.
I don't think you've used a Decky. No, you have not used a Decky.
I was worried about that, actually.
I've used Hideki. I used Hideki in Japan, and he didn't do well for me.
Ah, that's right. I would have used him, though. You stole him from me, and then it turned out in my favor.
Well, that's why you got to get back in the lead. You got some work to do.
I know. We're getting it done this week. Decky's pulling it out, baby. Jack, what's your lock 'em bet of the week? Like favorite bet? I mean, you picked Finau for your one and done, but is it Finau?
I'm going Tony Finau. I just, man, I feel like the guy's got the chip on his shoulder right now. He's playing as good of golf as anyone in the entire world the past 3 or 4 months. A really good, well-rounded game. We know he can crush it with the driver. His approaches have been awesome, and the putting stats have been phenomenal. I think everything's just working in the right direction for Tony Finau right now. He's kind of back at home. He's never really won on the West Coast before, so I think this is one that he's going to want to go and nab and prove that he's as for real as they come on the PGA Tour. So I'm going Tony Finau. What do you got?
Ooh, I'm probably going to go with Morikawa.
I like it.
I was between Morikawa and Decky, and I just don't really want to burn Morikawa. I'd feel safer, more comfortable burning Hideki here than I do Morikawa. But I feel better about Morikawa potentially winning. So, yeah, I guess since I don't have many props, normally it would probably be a prop in that spot. But I like it, man. Any final thoughts before we get this thing going? This is going to be fun this weekend, Jack. We started the show saying we're looking forward to it. We're pumped up after last weekend's shit show. What are your final thoughts here heading into the Waste Management Phoenix Open this week?
I couldn't be more excited. It is one of the best weeks for the PGA Tour. Genuinely, Saturday, Sunday is going to be an electric atmosphere. I know I'm going to be eating a lot of food that's bad for me, drinking alcohol, which means I'm going to be having fun. I know the people there are going to be having fun. The golfers hopefully are going to be having fun. It's just a fantastic week for the PGA Tour. What a Sunday. What a Sunday to wrap up football season. Hopefully we'll be winning our outrights and then throwing it down and winning even more on Super Bowl Sunday, Joey.
Dude, I mean, we could have a hell of a weekend. I believe last year, I don't know if I won. Maybe I don't think I bet on Scheffler. No, I did not bet him here at this event. Last year, though, for the Super Bowl, made some nice little cheese. So I'm hoping we can kind of double dip there and make a little bit of money here with the golf and the Super Bowl this year. And now it just feels that much better because we have bets. We are aligned with a lot of these bets. So I'm liking it. It's going to be a disaster. It's going to be amazing. One way or the other. I mean, we're going to have something to talk about next week for sure when we do our show. I forget what's on deck next week. What tournament we have? The
Genesis Invitational, Tiger Woods' tournament, baby. Big one.
All right. Genesis, there we go.
Another elevated event.
We're on a streak here. We're on a killing streak. We're going to have some good golf this weekend, next weekend. No more Pebble Beach Pro-Ams, no more rotation courses, like you said. Feeling good. Let's get that out of the way. We are almost at an hour on the dot. just as a reminder, want to remind all of our listeners to check out ontapsportsnet.com. Go ahead and go to Bet Rivers, enter the promo code ONTAP for an up to $250 deposit match. That's promo code ONTAP at Bet Rivers for an up to $250 deposit match. Jack is at Jack Bushman 2. I am at Joey Knows Nothing. You can follow the social media account at OnTap Golf. You can follow at OnTap Bets. We are out of here. Jack, I think I already got your final thoughts, but if I didn't, please give your final thoughts right now.
Let's win some money.
Let's win some money. Crack them, lock them. Good luck, and we're out.